Welcome back to the Triumph Show. I'm Melanie Davis, and today is very special. You are going to meet a genius. It's a concept that is simple and profound, and I still haven't gotten over just how brilliant it is. We're here with Mark Lombard, who is a hospice volunteer first, he says.
Yes.
But he's also the founder and the man who came up with the idea behind For Love and Art, which is so amazing. And you know what? I'm going to let you explain what that is, because it's really just needs your spin.
My spin, thank
Yeah.
you. I mean, this is a tremendous opportunity for all of us at For Love and Art. We believe art has a power that's more than just a pretty picture. It's like a power that flows beyond understanding. And it's healing and regenerative, and it nourishes and sustains. Some people call it food for the soul.
Yeah.
So we want to bring art, and not just pretty paintings, pretty pictures, but an experience to people who can no longer get to the museums. We want to bring the museums and the art experience to them and have them embrace beauty and joy and what we call magic of life, even if just for a little time, through the power of art.
Yeah, it is really powerful, and I think it's something that we often don't take enough time to appreciate. But you have had some profound experiences seeing how art does heal.
I do. I was saying this project evolved out of a leadership program I was in, and they insisted that I do a project. Mm-hmm. So I looked at my life and I looked at what was important to me, and hospice volunteering has always been important to me. I thought it would be helping people let go, in a sense. And what I've discovered is they've really been teaching me how to grab on to life. So it's very nurturing to me like that. And over the course of my studies, I read about Albert Schweitzer, the humanitarian physician, who said something that tremendously profound. He said, the tragedy in life is not that we die, it's what dies inside us while we're still alive.
Still living.
And I know that's something that you're interested in, like wounded warriors on the battlefield, they bring the war back with them. That's like something that's not healed.
They keep fighting it, and it keeps killing them. Right?
It's like part of them has died, in a sense. And through this experience that I had with one of my patients, Miss Billy, who was just awesome. She loved museums. She's not past, but she loved museums. We talk about art all the time. And she started losing strength in her legs. And her therapist gave her exercises to build up her leg strength. And she didn't want to. You know, it's just too much bother. I don't want to. And I said, come on, Miss Billy, build up your leg strength and I'll take you to the Kimball. The Kimball's a major museum in Fort Worth.
So that was her motivation.
That was the carrot.
Keep trying, the carrot, right?
That was the carrot. And I knew it would get her. And she's like, okay. So she was in there like diligently, like a soldier, like a trooper, doing her exercises. And sometimes
she could go to the museum.
You bet. That was her carrot. And sometimes things just don't work out. So she had a scoliosis that prevented her from ever walking again. So here we are. So I started bringing pieces of the Kimball to her. Every time I come and visit, in fact, I brought the original.
I love that.
I brought the original For Love and Art book. Every time I come and visit Miss Billy, I would bring another picture to her. And some are very operatic. If you could see that, it's like a little opera. Everything in the kitchen sink is in there. That's a Boucher. And it doesn't really matter who the artist is or what the painting's called. It's the experience that one has while looking at it.
Right.
And we were going through this, and I would notice her reaction as she would look at these paintings. They were more than just
watching
pretty.
her expression as she.
Yeah, it was as if the art was pulling something out of her.
Yeah.
In a sense, it was evoking the experience that she was having. It's as if
even out of a postcard.
Out of a postcard.
Even out of a postcard. Just being able to focus on that, the beauty and the power.
The beauty and the power, and this is the one. This is from the Amon Carter Museum. It's called Idle Hours by William Merritt Chase. It's an American Impressionist. So we saw this picture, and I was looking at her looking at it. And she was staring at it, she was staring at it, she was staring at it. She's like, my, Mark.
Just a place you want to go sit on that hillside.
That's right, with family. Do you see the family members here?
Looking out at the ocean or the lake.
And she took her finger and said, I wish I was right here. And she pointed to this figure on the lake, and I'm looking at her, and she was not in Grand Prairie anymore. She was not in that home where she was. She was not worried about lunch. She was not worried about her hair.
Not dealing with scoliosis.
dealing with scoliosis, or
Right.
the staff, or any of that stuff. She was idling away the hours with her family by a lake in the French countryside. It was like, awesome. I said, that's the art experience. That's what I'd love to, I want to do this as a project. I want to bring that experience to people and have them be liberated from their current circumstances, their worries and concerns, and whatever it is that they're faced with in the moment. I want to take them to France. I want to have them be idling away the hours with their family, and art's got the power to do that.
Yeah.
So that's
You're
the project.
bringing the art to the people who couldn't go to the art.
Right.
And
That's the deal. Actually,
that's what's so amazing about your program.
and it's critical to have the museums participate with us. So I was wondering, okay, I could have like little books filled with postcards, and how long can I do that? So I needed the way to convey this experience. What would be a vehicle to bring the art experience to people? And I didn't know how to do that. So I wrote a letter to all the people in the area, all the museums in the area, and the Amy Carter
For ideas. And what they,
Sure, I wanted to get their 2 cents.
Okay, well, that's
How can I do this? Should I have like a panel of people come in and talk to residents in a nursing home? I mean, that could be a project. But I talked to a woman at the Amy Carter Museum. I sent out this email, and she wrote back and she said, come in, Mark, we have to talk. So I came in, her name's Catherine Maloney, awesome woman, very down to earth. And she sat me down, she said, this is a topic that's very important to me. It's important to the Carter in general. This is what we do. We love like bringing art to people, who are untraditional in a sense. But it's also, I put my father in a nursing home this week. So this project.
Just that week that you
Just that week, it's like
wow,
one of those.
That's one of those timing things.
This project is built on these timing things, and it's like really remarkable.
God incidences.
Big guy working out here.
Wow.
And she pulled from underneath her desk a digital photo book. And this is kind of like decaled with our signage here. But she said, this is a great photo book. It's relatively inexpensive. It's got a huge memory. You can put thousands and thousands and thousands of images on this. Relatively inexpensive, user-friendly, and it kind of looks like a traditional art book. So as you open this up, so she suggested we use this for our project here. So this is the vehicle. I'm going to point out the technology behind our ability to bring the art experience to people is digital photo books, digital frames in a sense, but they're fancier than just a plain digital frame. Now the second part was, what's the content? What are we going to put on these once that we have it? And museums have paintings that go back generations and generations and generations.
That are priceless.
Priceless. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm going to go for it. And I started asking museums to participate in the project, and I asked them for their collections. Now you have to imagine.
And you're asking for a donation, so you're not paying them to rent the art on your
Absolutely. I propose that we become part of their community outreach program, and that this is a way to get their collection before people who could no longer come to the museums. So, and one by one, I do not have $1 million. I do not have an advanced degree in art. I'm passionate about art, yes, but
you're a hospice volunteer.
I'm a hospice
that
volunteer.
cares about the healing of those that you're serving.
That's right. And he's an art nut. I love art, really, truly. So, and one by one, the museum said yes. So before the Metroplex that we're partnered with, or the Amy Carter Museum, the Kimball in Fort Worth, the Dallas Museum of Art, and the Meadows Museum at SMU. So they agreed to partner with us, and we have their collection on this digital photo book.
Their entire collections.
Well, no, not quite their entire.
Not quite their entire.
To tell you the truth, we didn't want their entire collection.
Oh, okay.
Some images, don't evoke beauty and joy and love of life.
Oh, okay. So you were looking for those that would be more healing and not bring negative feelings.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. There are a lot of darker images. There are a lot of contemporary or abstract images that people just don't get. I mean, in our target community.
But you were able to go to them and pretty much obtain any of their art
that we thought, or that they thought would best be suited for the project.
That's great.
I mean, they got the final say.
Yeah. And you have now how many museums in the the art
We started with 4, and I thought, okay, my project's over. I'm a great,
There's 4. Got
4
the 4
great museums, we can bring them.
This is a Dallas project. We got our Dallas museums.
That's right.
Very local,
There
right?
you go.
Yeah, simple little project.
Well, then I had, as God would have it, as fate would have it, I had an opportunity to go up to Washington, D.C. with a friend of mine who was doing business there. I thought I'd go with him and have some fun. So I would go and I visited the museums. And I thought, maybe this would work out at the Smithsonian. So little me, I walk into the Smithsonian, and I'm kind of like puffing myself up to look really important. I go to the information desk and I say, pardon me, who's in charge of rights and reproduction? And this poor woman didn't know. I mean, this is like a huge government complex.
Not a common question, I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah.
She pulls out the telephone book and starts paging through, and it's Peter. So we talked to some guy named Peter. I'm talking to a guy named Peter on the phone. I say, I've got this project, it's really great. He listens to me and he goes, Mark, that's an awesome project, but you have to realize this is the National Gallery of Art, and we're a not-for-profit institution. And if we just gave our imagery away, we wouldn't be in business very long. And these decisions are made at levels much higher than mine. And it takes years to process these requests.
Really? Oh
the woman ultimately responsible is named Barbara and gave me her email address. He said, leave the information about your project at the desk. Don't call us, we'll call you. That wasn't really what he said, but I had the impression.
That was it, yeah.
That was it.
Underlying message.
And I thought, remember Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark? When they found the Ark of the Covenant and the government got a hold of it and they put it in this crate and they put it in a government warehouse and it would never see the light of day. It's like the punchline of the whole movie. I thought that's what's going to happen with this project.
Your idea's just been crazy.
It's going to, file 13 eventually, but it's going to go through all this stuff before it hits that. So a week later, so I was deflated. My tail between my legs, came back to Dallas, I'm saying, well, there are other museums to pursue. National Gallery didn't work out, but there are other museums. And then I thought, this was a week later, I thought, damn it, I'm going to go for it. And I emailed this woman. I had her name, I had her email address, and 7 o'clock on a Monday night, I typed from Dallas this letter. I emailed her this letter, and I said, you probably have a zillion projects dealing with education.
Right.
Well, this isn't an educational project. This is a project of mercy.
Yeah.
And she listened to that, and she wrote back within 20 minutes on a Monday night from Washington saying, this is a blessed project. You have my permission to use the imagery in the National Gallery. And I'm like, wow. And that's the night we went national. So that's the night we went national, is when we got the Smithsonian, the National Gallery of Art.
You were going national anyway, or it just happened?
No, it just happened.
Oh, another God incident.
That was like, it was like, okay, this is getting bigger and bigger here.
Oh, it's amazing.
And so since then we have the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, the Art Institute of Chicago, which is awesome. We have the Phillips Collection in Washington.
It's phenomenal.
And I got an email. I've been talking to the Metropolitan Museum, the Met, right? The Met in New York, and swapping emails, what about this part of your project? I don't know, should we do this? Should we do this? And I finally got this email back, and it said, our board of directors considered your project, and after deliberate consideration, they have decided to go ahead and partner with you. So we got the Met. Now, that kind of like, okay, we got the Met. Isn't that great? Who's next? For me?
Yeah.
But I went into my friends at the Dallas Museum of Art, and I'm like, hey, we got the Met. And this one woman said, what? And I said, we got the Met. And she looked at me and she said, you got the Met? Nobody gets the Met. Nobody. The Met doesn't do stuff like, they don't have to. They're the Met.
Yeah.
And because the Met did go ahead and join with us, probably any museum would see the value in it. Yeah, and it really, I want to shout out the museums. I want to shout out their generosity. Without their generosity, this project would not be possible.
No, you're right.
And in the interim, the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art joined, so we have 10.
So you have 10.
Including the Crystal Bridges.
Are you still pursuing museums, or do you feel like you have enough content, or how much? Is there a limit that you might reach? Or?
There's so we have over 1,000 images on this book already, and we're at 5% capacity.
Right.
So there really is no limit. And our ultimate vision.
And why not get as many as you can? Because who knows where they're, and maybe you'll have a person who loves a certain art piece and it's in a certain museum, and if that museum's here, they can go to the one that means a lot to them.
That's right.
Rather
Absolutely.
than limiting it. Yeah.
Right, we don't want to limit it. We want, it's an expression.
I told you this is genius. It's just, I mean, really, it's just so beautiful too because of how much of an impact it can have in the lives of people who really have, like you said, they've lost the ability to go to the museums, and in many times they're stuck in a hospital room or a nursing home room or something that's kind of, if anything, devoid of these kinds of beautiful
Right.
things. You're bringing it to those that need it the most, and that's what I love about that.
We think so. These are destined for communities and not individuals. So what's in our book is put together.
So who receives these?
These are given to volunteer coordinators at either hospices or hospitals or assisted living facilities.
Okay.
So it's not limited to people who are about to meet their maker. It's not limited to hospice patients.
It's just those who are kind of
somehow immobile,
or dealing
incapacitated,
with maybe some health challenges that need
far removed. We have
that escape to go sit by a lake.
That's right. One of the people that found out about our project on Facebook was a university student from Sierra Leone, Africa, and he was really kicked. He was inspired by this. He said, "I love your project." His name's Thomas.
Are you going to bring it to other countries too, then?
Well, we have. We sent one. He started a little fund there, and in Sierra Leone, it's $830 a year is what people make. These are $500. To endow a hospice costs $500.
So to them, that's a year's worth of work.
Well, he was working months and months and came up with $140, and we said, you know what, Thomas, that's okay. We're going to give it to you. So we have one of these in the Longji Government Hospital.
So how are you able to fund this and get these books out?
Philanthropy, donor philanthropy. So we're able to dedicate. This one does not have a dedication, this particular art book. Let me describe this art book. So here's Beautiful Lisée. There's a whole story behind Beautiful Lisée from the Dallas Museum of Art. This is Renoir's favorite model. And he painted her often, and they loved each other. They loved each other. They cherished each other's company. And this was the last time she was going to sit for him. And they both knew that after this painting, they may never see each other again. And you can see the love that he painted in her eyes and the longing in the sadness.
The longing, I was going to say, in her,
Do you see that?
I see that, just the way she'd be looking at him.
And we chose her to be our cover girl because that's the hospice volunteers experience. Because they form these strong bonds of love with their patients, with their residents, and they both know that this could be the last time they see each other. Do you know? So we chose her to be our cover girl, Lisée in a white shawl. And you open this up, and this screen here points to all the museums that we have. So up here it's the Amon Carter, and you go through, here's the Phillips collection, the Robert Lehman collection of the Met, the American collection at the Met. Let's go.
So each of these frames represents a museum.
A museum.
And its collections.
And its collection.
So first you pick your museum.
Yep, so let's go to the National Gallery of Art. Speaking of the National Gallery.
Okay.
So if you push this button, now you're in a gallery at the National. Isn't this a great?
How did you, who came up with this?
This is Digital Foci, is the manufacturer.
Okay, so
this
is just that they've already kind of created the
This is their template, how this book works.
That's amazing.
So you could choose a gallery. Now the National Gallery has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of paintings here. You see Monet's. I don't know if you can see that. But there's one here I wanted to show you to give you a sense of what's possible when one goes through this. And so you land on a painting and then you click the button and then you can bring it up, and it's just hard to believe that that's a painting. That's a 1871 that was painted.
It's got so much depth and detail.
And beauty.
You can actually see the mist sort of settling.
You can, right. And the beautiful, look at the emerald green and the ruby and those hummingbirds and the little eggs there. And, it's like you're in Brazil.
And this was painted when?
1871.
That is amazing.
That really is amazing.
This looks like a high definition, actual TV picture.
It does. And the conversation that we have, human being to human being, over this is what the project's all about.
Right.
It evokes love. Sharing art brings love. It evokes love. For love and art, do you see?
Yeah.
And it's not an educational project, but if you wanted to know a thing or two about this painting, you can push this button up here. And popping up here is the name of the artist, Mark Johnson Eade, the name of the work, and the year that it was painted. And it's at the National Gallery. So some people might be interested in that. For the most part, it's meant to be a shared experience in the stories that are told. And speaking of stories, I have a story about the impact that this had on a veteran. So one of the stories came from Oscar, came from the Dallas VA. So we endowed one of the books to the Dallas VA. a friend of the VA came forward and said, I want to remember my mother. And so these books are able to be dedicated here. So it's in memory of so-and-so, and then up down here would be the Dallas VA. I'll show you what that's about later.
Yeah.
So we got her one, and we endowed it to the Dallas VA, and we heard from one of their volunteers named Jeremy. And Jeremy said that there was one cantankerous old veteran there named Oscar. They called him Oscar the Grouch, right? And he was like, no one liked to visit with him because he kind of sucked life in a way. He was like cantankerous and grumpy and mean to volunteers. When you're a volunteer, you want people to respond to you in a particular way. Right. So Jeremy came by with the art book and he said, come on, Oscar, I want to show you some pictures. And Oscar's like, I don't want to see no friggin' pictures. Jeremy said, come on, we'll just try this in Washington. We'll go to a museum in Washington. And they're going through these pictures, and they came to this image in particular, which is very simple.
It is.
It's a very simple, it's almost like I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that, maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple days.
It's a very, it's just almost like a very subtle, calm, the colors and there's not a lot going on. It's not
a lot, it's not a lot of detail, that's for sure, abstract. But Oscar stopped grousing right then and there. By the way, we have a website here where this imagery is available.
Yeah, and can you give your web address? I'm sure people.
Sure, it's www.forloveandart, forloveandart.org, forloveandart.org. So you can see some of the imagery that we have online. Thank you, museums.
Yeah.
Oscar stopped in his tracks. He stopped grousing. He stopped complaining. And Jeremy started looking at Oscar's face. And Oscar was transfixed. Jeremy said he was transfixed by this.
Wow.
So he was staring at it. It was like deeper and deeper. And the more he looked at it, the more the lines on his face started to ease up. Something was releasing and relaxing. And Jeremy said it's almost as if he was kissed on the forehead by a pretty girl. What a great experience that was. And he saw some tears come down Oscar's cheeks. And that was it. Nothing was said. Not a word was exchanged. Just that experience occurred. And from that moment on, Oscar was not so
It really made a permanent change.
It made a
lasting change.
Yeah, not like he became Pollyanna.
Right, yeah.
But he became a lot more appreciative of volunteers and their efforts. Kind of like a lot happier.
And it really, I know with veterans a lot of times they've had to kind of shut down their emotions in order to deal with what they do. And I think what's so powerful about this, particularly for our veterans, is that it helps them tap into that space they've locked up for protection.
Yes.
It stays locked up when they get home, and I think it has a lot to do with their PTSD and their challenges, and sort of unlocks that and allows them in a safe way to feel emotional again.
Yeah.
And kind of become human. They've kind of our feelings and love and affection is a big part of being human, and it's so important, and that's kind of what we need to help them go back to. I think this is extremely important for that.
Yeah, but artists through the age of Picasso said art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life.
Wow.
Washes away from the soul.
And maybe it can wash away the dust of Iraq and Afghanistan too.
And there you go.
Yeah. It's so amazing.
And speaking of that, we recently had an event at the Amon Carter, which is now one of our very good friends, called Veterans for Love and Art, Shining a Light on Volunteers. So we thought we love veterans, and we're giving them the spotlight today.
Yeah.
And what is their message going to be? And what their message was, thank you, volunteers. For all the people in service, people like you, people like Judith Ann, for all the people in service to volunteers, thank you very much. So, and over the course of that, we donated 13 art books to each and every VA medical center in the great state of Texas. So these are the new art books.
This is such a powerful form of therapy and showing of appreciation, and I'm very excited because we are love your veterans and for love and art. I mean, we're on the same. We're already thinking. We belong together.
We're metaphysicians.
And we are joining forces and working together to be able to bring these books to more VA medical centers across the nation as well. I'm so excited you got them in Texas, though.
It's awesome.
And how long have they been in place? it's just something
They
you
are-
did recently?
It's something that we've done. In fact, they haven't received them yet.
Oh, okay.
The manufacturer is putting the finishing touches on the new format. So
Yeah.
these are books it's the 2.0 version coming out.
Okay.
And they're on the verge of being completed. So they're produced in a sense, they're ready to
I cannot
go.
wait to see
And they're all going
the
out.
effect that has. I think it's something that we should pay very close attention to. Because
Yes.
I think there's going to be a lot of stories and examples that's
Yes.
going to make this not only be a powerful tool for healing and bringing light to the lives of those that are unable to get out, but just an important tool for helping our heroes that are struggling so much.
Yes.
You know, we need this.
Yes.
They need this.
There's a happy collateral side effect here.
Yeah?
And that's for the people who bring the art, the volunteers. I mean, some volunteers are intimidated. I don't know anything about art. What do I know? How can I share this effectively with people?
Right.
And then
You have empowered them.
they don't have to know anything about it. They really
Yeah.
don't have to know it. And all of a sudden, they start developing this passion that they didn't know they had. They start like, oh, art, this is a missing part of my life. And they develop an appreciation. They get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of missing part of life, I think art is, especially in a hard economy, art is something that's really getting pushed aside.
Yes.
Being here in Texas, football will get more attention and funding than art.
yeah.
And to have a tool like this to really remind and show, through witnessing the effects that it has, just how powerful. I think we've forgotten really how powerful art is.
Yes.
It contains something that's I'm struggling to even explain it because it's just beyond words, because it
beyond
has
words.
such an effect on us, and getting away from art. And of course, within the Triumph program that's helping our heroes tell their stories, we have art experiences. They create art, and I think too that would be a neat jump off, is to bring the art and then give them opportunities to create their own art and really tap into that part of your conscience that's kind of smooth. It's not where we carry all our troubles, and that's more on the analytical side, the creative side.
Very often people don't know what to say. They don't know what to say, and they use art as a medium to express themselves beyond words.
Yeah, so I think it begins with seeing it, and then allows them to feel and express. And this is exciting because you're really witnessing the beginning of what I think is going to be a major movement and something very important in the lives of our veterans and the lives of all of us.
Yeah.
As we rediscover a power that knits us together in love.
Yes, absolutely. Melanie, thanks for getting the big picture.
Oh, well,
we really appreciate it. Look forward to
we rock.
the partnership for our Veterans for Love and Art.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for you coming and sharing these stories, and grateful to all of you who've taken the time to watch this. And please go and visit. Would you say your website again?
Sure, it's www.forloveandart.org.
And watch for opportunities to support this important work that's being done. And until next time, I'm Melanie Davis. Thanks for watching The Triumph Show.